Shirley here with Sirius Talis Moon, and I want to talk about something that may appear. I want to talk about my own personal case, um, and how that may relate to other people. Um, a lot of the children that were born around the ingress of Pluto to Aquarius to 2010 and even younger are beginning to unalive themselves. And for me, I was born in 1984 and I have Neptune. So a lot of us in our Neptune squares could be feeling their passing. Um, and if I remember when it was around, 2010, 2009, that time in my life was of tremendous, um, I guess, helplessness or exposure to the isolation in society, or what humanity is going through, and the lack of love in humanity. Um, so these children are basically growing into a reality of hatred, and they begin to unalive themselves, which is the obvious answer to the situation where the soul wants to go to where love is, even if it doesn't know how to define it. And for me, I've been feeling recently the passing of some of these children. Um, and I was like, what's happening in the sky right now? And I couldn't pinpoint it until I realized that those children were passing somewhere along my personal transit. Um, and the feeling was internal. It was my soul aspiring to peace and love. And the feeling that perhaps upstairs is where it's at or where it can be found. Um, I'm very grateful for the healing or loving energies around me at this time. Um, so it can be for certain people, and perhaps the people where that have in Neptune square right now, or that there's certain generations or even younger generations that are passing, and there's something healing about the experience because they managed to get out of hatred where we couldn't. And perhaps in acknowledging that, um, there can be exposure to the more loving forces. Um, I think that with all that's happening, and it's not with all that's happening in the world in the sense of like, the apparent stuff, it's the things that were happening for decades before that that brought children really into the world where almost the only way out would be to jump off a roof or to commit suicide. If my generation was looking for ways and not really finding a way to die because we haven't really found a way to live, and the next generation, Generation Z, was um, really having, like, people call it suicide ideation, but it's not. Awareness that this society accommodates for love only upon passing, and even then it's upstairs. It's not necessarily down. In my generation, they would bury people outside the fence. And the younger generations, the people the youth that is 15, that is teenagers now, they're analyzing themselves by the masses. I know that also my generation and the previous and the next one did, but it is kind of an intergenerational aspiration to be where love is. Um, and those are already the generation of the Pluto Capricorns. So this is something that maybe a lot of people are feeling right now. And the natural response, I think, is, well, though they some may even be in the phase where like they got away. I tended to assassination prevention and assassination cases, um, and yeah, there were some times where like 10 to 1 case, and then like, oh damn, the bastard got away. They're not feeling what we're feeling right now on Earth, and I think it's natural and normal, and yet it stirs up a lot of things to talk about that. And then there is the wish to leave, of course. And some of us, particularly those that have been targeted, when we see even masses of people dead, there is relief because it's no longer of the timeline of the violence and the suffering on Earth.